I read this, I feel like after I left Royal, it was like beginning of my entrepreneur career. That was like 7 or 8 years ago. And it was a great book. And I feel like, again, like Atomic Habits, it's one of those ones that you have to reread just to remind yourselves because we start flipping into these old routines that we have. And this really is more thought patterns than anything. So let's kind of go back and you guys, I'm going to be referring to some of my notes here as we talk through it. So Gay Hendricks is the book of The Big Leap, and on the cover of the book, and just for logistics, in the email that we sent out introducing the book, you guys will find a link to the audiobook that's on YouTube. And then if you have any trouble purchasing the book in the country that you're in, just shoot us an email and we'll connect you to a way to get it. So don't worry about that. The real big thing, so Gay Hendricks is a psychologist. So his basic field of focus is relationships, personal growth, and body mind transformation. And so he has his degree from Stanford in psychology, but really he's done a ton of books, a ton of seminars, but this is kind of the one that got the most attention and all the work that he's done. And really, truly, his focus has become, and this is what I love about this book for all of us, is that his focus is about helping individuals realizing their full potential, and both personally and professionally. And so I know that us specifically Ship2Shore is about professionally, but this really helps connect what are we doing as individuals that limits ourselves. So the premise, and please raise your hand if you have questions, type in the comments if you have anything that you want to poke a hole in about what he's saying. But again, this is kind of the intro, so you guys can get inspired about why you want to read the book. And for us as human beings is Simon Sinek talks about it. All these marketers talk about it. We really, truly, to engage in something, Atomic Habits talked about, we have to understand the why behind why we're doing it. So that's why I think it's important for me to give you guys high level what's the point of doing a book like this, or reading a book like this, and how can it serve you long term. So the central idea in this concept of the big leap is that he addresses this problem that he gives a name to. And it's so funny, after you read this book, you're going to identify it really quickly in your life when you're doing it, when other people are doing it. He calls it the ULP, the upper limit problem. You'll also hear people referring to it as your upper limiting belief. So he argues that we have this subconscious thermostat, this thing in our mind that determines how much success, how much love, how much creativity that we allow ourselves to enjoy. And when we reach the edge of comfort in our zone, we often self-sabotage, pulling ourselves back from these perceived limits. So this is a really, really interesting concept because you guys, as soon as you can dig into this and understand it, really quickly in your life, you're going to start identify when you're doing this self-sabotage. And I'm not a person that I don't like this idea of people being victims of their lives, but this is one of those things that you can really quickly identify when you are sabotaging what your future is going to look like. And this is like, I'll give an example. It's like, I think the easiest one to look at is like your relationship with another person. And primarily your spouse or the one that you spend the most time with, is that everything is going great. You just got back from a really good vacation. You just got a raise. You're celebrating a lot of things. Let's say you're out to like this beautiful champagne and lobster dinner, celebrating the goodness, and then you get into a fight over the dinner. That you're this high in what you're experiencing in life, and then somebody makes this comment and the comment turns into a fight. And that's an example of self-sabotage. You can't believe that things are going so well and you're kind of reach this upper limiting this edge. And so you're like, oh, let me plant a seed of resentment. Let me bring back an old thing that I know that we always fight over, so that I'm brought back to reality that things are not always as perfect. And as you guys think it churns. You guys can always think, like, I've done it 100 times over with my husband. Like, get in the car on a date night that we've been planning for a month, and then we're fighting. Or you're like on your way to church, or like something that, and pastors always laugh about this, that like uh you get into this big fight on the way to church, and then you walk through church and you're like, hi, how's everybody doing? And you're this perfect family, but in the car you were whacking each other with words. So his real key insights is around this, is that he doesn't really look to diagnose the problem. What's the beautiful thing about this book is he offers a roadmap of how to overcome it. So the book is really structured around identifying what your zone of genius is. And this is his big things: is upper limiting problem or upper limiting belief, and your zone of genius. So this is this unique sphere that you are in, where your passions and your talents match and converge. And this is really, really important for anybody in this life transition, career transition. And I would even say, like, I'm not in any transition, but I'm excited to go through this again, because I'm like, ooh, let me remind myself. And I want to go back to my notes from reading it the first time. What is this zone of genius for me? It's really recognizing and identifying, how do we live within the zone of genius? And then how do we identify, dismantle any fears or false beliefs that hold us back from staying in that place. So he really guides the readers towards achieving this sustained happiness, success, and not sabotaging when they start getting to that place where they really are meant to be. And then why really for you does this matter, is that for me, it's the big leap is way more than a self-help book. This is not just a book that you read and you do some actions. This is a call to action. This is a thing that kind of tells you, if you stay within the zone of greatness, of genius that you are, and you stop yourself from doing these stupid behaviors that prevent you from getting to the next level, then your momentum starts building. So this allows ourselves to, and you're going to start identifying, after you read this book, start identifying and seeing other people do this in their lives. Like, I have somebody that I've known for many, many years, and this person always struggles with their finances. And I could look at it, and it's this book in life form, is that it doesn't matter what season this person is in, they always run into this wall of these finances. And it's a self-sabotage, it's a cycle. They know what to do, but they just keep on doing these. Why are you laughing, Christian? They just keep doing these stupid behaviors.
Am I
What?
that person?
You are not that person.
I feel like
You are
that's
not.
me. No, but I can relate to that.
Yeah, but it's
I
like,
guess we can all relate to that at some level in our lives, in some aspect.
yeah. And really, and my husband and mine, we always have been like very frugal, conscious people. And as we've grown in our life, and as we have more than what we need, we still find ourselves cutting the coupon for the pizza on Friday night. Um, and it's this upper limiting belief. It's like, hey, we grew into these old habits of who we were, and we're like, oh wait, no, we can go to a nice dinner now. And it can serve both ways. I'm talking about the one that had financial stuff, but also it can serve in scarcity. It can serve in these other places that it kind of creeps in, and you don't identify the new person that you are becoming. So whether it's in, so his idea really around this is these artificial barriers that we set, is that this limits us getting into an abundant life. This limits us from becoming the full expression of who we are. And the book really offers this perspective on growth and fulfillment, and stopping ourselves and identifying really quickly when we're doing stupid things. And then also keeping our eye on the prize, for lack of a better term, and the prize being yourself, is going, like, how do you really truly focus who the greatest version of yourself is, and how do you not lose sight of that person when life comes in? So really truly, what's the relevance? I think that as you look at the world and all the things that are coming at us, we have constant change. We have constant stimulation. Social media has completely overwhelmed how we perceive ourselves, how we perceive reality. We're looking at all these, fake celebrities and fake realities that people are living in, that there's so many. I was watching someone the other day. It was someone that was like in this, maybe it was an affiliate marketing something. I don't remember what it was. But it was something that people are, the lady was coming across in a certain way, but when you peel back the layers, you really know she's just getting free stuff from companies. She doesn't actually own any of this stuff. So we're living in this life that's, putting glasses on us and putting things in front of us that are not necessarily real. And so as we're looking at professional, as we're looking at personal, things are changing and the goalpost keeps changing for a lot of people, that we really have to understand that if we can navigate changes in our lives with confidence and with grace, we're not just going to be getting success for a temporary moment. We're really going to be sustaining it and finding joy in the process and continually moving up a level and up a level and up a level, up a level in our lives. And this doesn't just mean financially. Financially is great, but also emotionally, and our relationships with our person and our friendships, is how do we keep moving up and emulating, hey, who do I ultimately want to be? Who do great people that I see in my life, what do they do? And how do I keep moving and prevent myself from getting there? And so really, really the overall book theme, if I was to summarize it into one little phrase, is overcoming internal barriers ourselves and to achieve your potential. So overcoming internal barriers to achieve your potential. And it's is it Taylor Swift? Um, it's her song that I'm not, it's me. I'm the problem, it's me. Like, this is it, right? We are the ones that are preventing that growth, those micro movements, by stopping ourselves. So I want to read this really cool, one of the quotes that I mentioned at the top, but what he says is each of us has an internal thermostat setting. And this thermostat setting determines how much love, how much success, and how much creativity we allow ourselves to enjoy. When we exceed our internal thermostat setting, we often do something to sabotage ourselves, causing us to drop back into the old familiar zone where we feel secure. And we're like, hey, I I know mediocre Barbara. I know mid-level Barbara. I'm good there. I'm comfortable there. When I have to stretch myself to open a new company, when I have to stretch myself to take a risk, to buy something, to um, hire someone if you have a company, like that's where you feel insecure. And so a lot of people either sabotage that moment to step themselves back down to the place that they feel comfortable. But this book challenges us to be like a rubber band and to stretch to a point that it's wider and wider and wider and more comfortable. Um, so anything, I'm going to talk through kind of the key concepts, you guys, just the zone of genius and the ULP, upper limiting problem. Christian, anything that I'm missing here? No? Okay.
No, keep going.
Okay, cool. So the key concepts of the book. So two main ones, like highlight zone of genius, upper limiting problem. And because I'm giving you guys this high level overview, this is not an excuse not to read the book, FYI. So you're not getting out of it because you're really going to get a lot out of this book. So zone of genius, that zone of genius is where you do what you love the most and you are uniquely good at it. Okay. This is where it's your special sauce. It's what is the thing that you do different and better than everybody else. And people really adore you for it and highlight you. So his quote in here is that your zone of genius is the set of activities that you are uniquely suited to do and that draw upon your special gifts and your strengths. And if you've never done this exercise of digging into what are your unique gifts, do it. It's so, so, so important. And if you think of it from like a spiritual perspective, it's what were you given that's different than everybody else? how do you leverage that? How do you use it in a way that impacts and changes people's lives? If not, back to the ULP, you're staying small. You're playing in the minor leagues when you should be playing in the major leagues. So your upper limit problem is that our limit that we put on our happiness and on our success, and how to identify when we're limiting ourselves and surpass it. So his quote that he says is, the UOP is a human tendency to put a ceiling on our happiness level. We sabotage ourselves when we're close to breaking through the upper limit. And I can tell you guys probably 10 times in my life when I've had instances that happen. And I think it's probably like the easiest ones that I can. I talk about the simple ones, the fights in the car with your spouse on the way to a romantic date or to celebrate something. But I also can think of like big transactions that we've had to do. You know, we've bought companies before, we've bought real estate before, is that will put some stupid barrier in place. Like when I have to go do a closing for something, I'll jam pack my day so that I'm running late, so that I'm high stress, so that I'm not even finding a moment to celebrate this excitement or this achievement, that I'm just limiting the joy that you could be experiencing in a moment of greatness. Um, so the ULP, upper limiting problem, and the zone of genius. If we can master those two things, identify what your zone is and identify when you're limiting yourself, when you're getting into that zone, then what you can do is really amazing. And why, for me, for your personal and professional growth, is this book important? I think for me, when you look at career advancement, when you look at personal satisfaction, this is people that are moving forward really quickly in their career. And, you know, when I was a Royal, I think I've told you guys this before, I had 11 jobs in 13 years because I I ran my career like this. I put blinders on and I wasn't looking at what anyone else was doing. I was just going, okay, what's my zone of genius? What can I do? How can I focus? How can I associate? How can I get mentors that see me, believe in me, have synergies in me? And I don't know if I've told you guys this story. I was part of this. It was like this. If you wanted to become a director, you had to go through this management leadership program. And so you had to apply for it. So applying for this management program, I applied for it before I was ever a manager because I knew I was going to be a manager. So I convinced my boss to put me into this management program. And lo and behold, within a couple of months, I was a manager. And then the applications were finally, you know, into place. So I didn't lose a year. I was like, I got places to go and things to do and people to see. And so I'm not wasting time. They put me into this management program. Then when I got into the management program, one of the things that you had to do was choose a mentor. And part of choosing a mentor, I'm going, okay, let me look around the company. Let me see who I want. Somebody who's going to see me and see the potential in me and grow me. And so everybody went around and they were managers and most of them chose VPs, some chose vice presidents, some chose directors to be their mentor because they wanted to become a director, become a VP. And I was like, hell no. I'm finding the highest up woman senior vice president in the whole company and I'm knocking on that lady's door. And the Dondra Ritzenthaler is her name. She's this amazing Christian woman who had, so she was a woman. She had the same belief system as me. She had kids. She had a husband that stayed at home and ran his own business. So we had all these synergies. And I was like, I want to learn from her. And I'm like, what's the worst thing that can happen? She says no. And I was like, barely a manager. I was like this little fetus that had just gotten off of ships. And and lo and behold, Dondra said yes. And you know that I showed up. I was not looking at what my other managers or new managers were doing. I was not going out spending this new paycheck that I had gotten, which it wasn't that much money, people. But I was looking at, okay, how do I get to the next level? Who can teach me? Who can guide me? And that woman would take me to lunches with other senior vice presidents within the company. She would introduce me to people. She saw my potential. She lent me clothing. She lent me a dress to wear to a gala. She taught me when you walk into a room, this is who you choose to sit next to. So I say this not to go, oh, like not to reflect on me, just to go, there is benefits to having blinders on and really truly knowing what your zone of genius is and going, hey, what am I good at? Who has a similar zone of genius, and how do I get close to that person and have them teach me? And it doesn't matter. You don't have to be in a huge corporate environment to do that. You just have to go, all right, this person in life, and access to people right now via LinkedIn, via social networks is so big. Reach out to that person that can teach you and guide you, because you are going to really truly see growth in your life and your career. So the thing that he says about personal and professional development is that by, and I can speak to Dondra because and she mentored me for years, is that this quote by expanding your capacity to enjoy abundance, love, and success, you're making a greater contribution to the world. I can say that woman, she lived in abundance and love and in success. And the fact that I got to watch it and learn from it and see the contributions that she made, that's the thing that helped meld me. And so having somebody, she was not a person that had any upper limiting. I mean, sure she did. Everybody does, but she is one who had jumped over. And I'm going to tell you guys this silly story, but I remember I was in a session with her once, and there was another a gal that was my age, and she had got promoted before I did. And I told her, oh, this one girl, Jessica, she's just so smart and she's so talented. And I feel so small being in these meetings next to her, because she could retain data and information in a way that I just couldn't. And she stopped me, Dante stopped me. She's like, Barbara, she's got her talents, you've got yours. She's like, the thing that my zone of genius is interpersonal skills, is being able to connect with people. That I know that's one of my things. She's like, she may have the data. She's like, but you can sit in a room and you can know what's going to come out of someone's mouth just by how they're sitting in their chair. And that is the thing that's going to give you the edge up. And she was able to say, yeah, you're not going to be like this other person, but this is the thing that you do have. So having mentors and having people that around you that are helping you to identify these things, and obviously going through this book in detail and sitting down and really read a chapter. You guys, this book is only 8 chapters. It's not a thin, I can't remember how many pages it is off the top of my head. I want to say 150, if I'm not mistaken, but they're not that heavy. But really truly is that as you're reading through them, make sure you guys are spending some time to reflect after reading the chapter, and especially on the zone of genius. If you're struggling to figure out what is your zone, I would encourage you guys. A really great guy that we follow, his name's Keith Cunningham. He's a financial guy. He's not on any social media, anything, but we've done some of his seminars. And what he talks about is thinking time. And really, really, truly, right now in this age of overstimulation, you guys, in your day, you have text messages, you have WhatsApps, you have emails, you have obviously work, all of the alarms, all of the apps. There's a new app, it's called Motion, and it's this app that has AI and hyper organizes your day. I'm like, we are at this level of productivity that's absolutely insane, that people are forgetting to think. People are forgetting to stop. And you're sitting in the waiting room, and this is why I have books with me. Like, no one can just sit in a waiting room at a doctor's office anymore. Everybody has to have this constant drip to this like drug that is in our hand. So being able to read the book, take 10 minutes and reflect and go, okay, what did he just say? And how does that apply to me? And it doesn't matter if you don't agree with it, write your doubts, write your arguments with the person. It's just allowing your brain the moment to be able to soak in the information and go, what can I get out of this? How can I grow? How can I live? And if you guys can relate to this, if you have a desire to live consistently in abundance, and what does abundance mean? Abundance means no matter what you have, you are happy with. You feel that you are blessed. This is not about having millions and millions of dollars. This is about feeling that you have more than you need in life, period. Love. success. And as a result of those things, you feel like you are contributing to this world. When we get into a danger zone is when we feel like we're not contributing, or that people don't know who we are, or nobody's going to notice if we're not part of this world. Like, really truly, we have to give. And I think I read this to you guys. No, I didn't, because I just put it on my calendar. Um, I put this new quote. It was, I'm reading again. I've done the audiobook, but I'm reading again the book. It's called Think and Grow Rich. Um, and I don't want to botch the quote, so I'm pulling it up. Oh, look at my time zones are all off. What the heck is going on? Sorry. Don't mind me. I'm just on board a cruise ship. So the quote that he wrote was that when you seek happiness for yourself, it will always elude you. When you when you seek it for others, it is when you will find yourself. So again, when you seek happiness for yourself, it will always elude you. When you seek it for others, it's when you will find it for yourself. And it's just this concept that you were making a contribution. We're not seeking happiness for just us. We're seeking it for others in our lives. And it's not in a sacrificial step on me kind of way. It's going, no, I'm making a contribution that I'm really, so I can speak in first person. One of my zones of genius is connecting people. I have an ability to see what this person and this person can gain from being in community together. And so my ability to see that in people and put them together in groups, and not have, a lot of people have fear of rejection, have fear of scarcity, of if I share this person, then I'm going to get less of this person for myself. No, no, no. How can I connect you to somebody that can help your business grow? How can I connect you to somebody that can um, teach you about something in finance that you don't know? How can I connect you to somebody that walked through this journey that I know their story, and their story can help you feel stronger on yours? So really truly going, what's that zone of genius, and how does that help me give back to the world? So let me take a few minutes, and then let's talk through what's next in our series. Christian, is there anything that I missed in the highlights of this book, or things that, based on what you've read so far, that could motivate people?
I just want to mention the fact that I think we had all heard about the being on the comfort zone, but to me it was mind blowing that it's this. He goes on to mention that there's the comfort zone, and then there's the zone of excellence, and then there's one above that being the zone of genius. And sometimes we think that the zone of excellence, that's where we should be able to teach us stay and then constantly live our lives. But this one, I just love the fact that it pushes you to another limit, to another height. And I made a note mentioning, and this was a big one for me, the one that really caught my attention, saying it said that uh, when we achieve the upper limit problem, like when we achieve the next level of success, and it's causing us to think that we don't deserve it, and then it plummets us back down to where we were. It's, and now that you mentioned that we self-sabotage it, like sometimes, a lot of the times when you're thinking that it happens to you, but it really takes a lot of ownership to, and
Yeah,
responsibility and maturity to know that it's you sabotaging it. It's not
yeah,
life happening to you. No, it's you getting into the argument. It's you allowing things to happen, or things to affect you in such a way that are going to steal the joy of a celebration, as small as it may be, when you're reaching a new limit. So that to me was a big one. And then the fact that saying that the upper limit is unsolvable in the ordinary state of consciousness, that it's only possible by a leap of consciousness. So in essence, that's the nutshell of the book. I think so far,
yeah,
from the chapters that I read. Um, but yeah, it's really insightful to see it from a different perspective from what we were always told by the bookmarks or the bumper stickers, that it's just a comfort zone. But there's really
yeah,
more than that.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah. And really, truly, you guys, is that, it's a great point, Christian. It's the bumper sticker. They asking real questions, is that when we get into it, and this is all like, we were built like this. This is our animal like brain. It's fight or flight. We were built to protect ourselves from danger, to prevent bad things happening, to, anticipate things. So if any of you are worriers or people that, I call it your train station, that you're standing on the platform and all these trains are going through your mind constantly. And if you're one that gets on the train and goes down the track, this crazy thought is an example of this upper limiting belief. It's this upper limiting problem that you have. And so asking better questions, providing yourself thinking time is, and one of my favorite questions that my coach gives me is, she's like, is that true? We say these big, bold statements in our life, and we're like, you know, I'm trying to think of what, like, ah, this person's just like so lazy. I just can't get over it. Da 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 da. And she'll just say, is that really true? And I'm like, no, you're right. They weren't lazy before. And da 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 da, and you start unraveling. Maybe it's that they're sad. Maybe it's that something's changed in their life. Maybe you start peeling back the layers of the onion, or you say the things about yourself. I am lazy, and is that true? Or are you just tired? Or did you just skip a meal? But we go to these preventative, protective places in our brains, and the quicker that we can identify it, the quicker that we can shake out of it. And I think that's one of the things that the book also helps motivate you to do, is we can objectively identify things that are happening in our life. And I listen to Wayne Dyer a lot, and one of the things that he talks about is being unoffendable. And I think that that's like, that for me is like this premise in my life, is that no one really can offend me. I know who I believe myself to be. So if you find that you're a person that's easily offended, dig into why you're allowing someone else to have an opinion that weighs on you. And somebody can tell me their political belief, somebody can tell me their religious belief, and it's not going to offend me. It's just, that's interesting. And one of the things he said is, that's an interesting perspective, that everybody's entitled to what they believe. Everybody's entitled to their limiting beliefs, but you get a choice of who's you're going to listen to. So you have that person. We're clever little beings. We know exactly who to go to get to hear what we need to hear. When you want somebody to feel sorry for you and talk bad about your husband, you know exactly who to call, who's going to give you that medicine, right? So pick up the phone and call that friend that's going to call bullshit on you, instead of that one that's going to let you sit in your sorrow. Yeah, so just really, really, this book challenges you to think, so that you are pushing for that zone of genius consistently, and then also so that you're identifying quickly and recovering from those limits. So our plan is, we have 2 weeks to read the book. And again, it's a super easy read, you guys. Just break it down, do the audiobook, listen to it when you're in the gym, when you're going on a walk, right before you go to bed. And let's go back to atomic habits. What's a habit that you already have established in your life? Let's say every morning you sit at the kitchen table for 20 minutes and eat your breakfast, and you drink a cup of coffee, and you doom scroll on social media. Replace the doom scrolling with listening to the book or reading the book. Let's say you're really religious about getting to bed by X time. How about let's move that up by 10 minutes and just read a couple pages, and just allow that to start compounding on itself. And then in 2 weeks, on February 28th, I have no idea what time zone I will be in at that place. It might be Christian hosting. On February 28th is that we will do a recap of the book. And I really want to hear what you guys think, what you learned in the process. And yeah, and really highlight it, bring kind of the things that are sticking out for you and what you learned. And I can say personally, for me, this is a transformative book when I read it however many years ago. So I'm excited to go over it again, because all those bad habits start creeping back into your life. And when we lose focus on our zone of genius and who we were meant to be and what our contribution to this world is, then that's when we start wandering. And it's not a bad thing. It's just a natural thing that's going to happen. And so the more that we can continue to go back to our true north is when we experience real goodness in life. Christian, anything logistically to add?
logistically, um, no, just please do let us know if you
I
need the
gave the
book.
date. I gave the
We have,
time,
yep,
the
yep.
book, getting the
Well,
book.
I'm just curious to see what time zone you'll be in, but I'm more than happy to host it. And please do reach out if you need the book and if you need if you're having struggling with the resources, because we'd be able to help you, like we mentioned in the last webinar.
And please, if I'm a big like physical book buying person, well, I'm all of the book, everything. I'm the audiobook, I'm the Kindle, the one on my phone, I'm the physical book. But I do love a good physical book because then I can give it to somebody afterwards. I never keep books. I'm like, oh, just read this book. When somebody's coming to complain to me about what's going on in their life, I'm like, oh, just read this book. I'm like, no, 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 do something about it. Don't just talk about it, do something about it. And so this is your challenge, is really truly pick up the book, spend the time, do something about, and this is, I don't know anybody that's read this book and not enjoyed it. So I would just encourage you guys to do it, and yeah, and see the transformation. Any questions, comments? Has anybody read or heard this concept before? Anyone,
I don't
anyone?
think I've read it, but I've heard of an upper limiting concept before, but I just don't remember when. I don't know if it was when I was in college or if it was when I was doing something else, but I remember hearing about that before.
Yeah, and a lot of this stuff, like it's so funny because I've been reading some older authors, like Francis Shin, Napoleon Hill, and it's the same stuff. It's just regurgitated in a different way, but it also gives validity that these concepts are real and they stand the test of time. So I'm sure someone else has written about this, but it's a really cool thing to. I guess it gives this like you don't feel so bad about doing it because everybody does it. This limiting belief process, is that the more that we can quickly identify and pivot, and it's funny, I got into an argument with my husband yesterday and I was like, oh, it's an upper limiting thing. That so I need to, because at one point after we had both read this book, we were really good at it. We could quickly go, hey, that's a limiting belief. Hey, we're doing this to sabotage, to self-sabotage a good moment. Okay, snap out of it. And we would both together be able to snap out of it. So yeah, that's great.
We'll be able to see as well. I saw in chapter 3, it mentions a lot of things about relationships as well. So it's not only about yourself and how you go through the world, and you could apply it to your corporate life and you can apply it to your personal and professional life, but it also talks about relationships. And there's a line that I really like that spoke about when two people fall into an argument, that it's really them fighting to see who takes the victim position. And that was an
Ooh,
eye opener for me. So chapter 3, I need to read it again, and again, it's you can apply it to your personal or professional life, and that's why I think it's going to be one of those books that you have to go back to and read again, like those movies
yeah.
that you have to rewatch, and every time you watch it again, you find something new. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I just watched my best friend's wedding again.
That's a new one.
Isn't that and slash old,
But you're on board a ship,
right?
so we're we're not
No,
so.
I didn't watch it on the ship. I watched it when I
No.
was in on land for a minute.
I was
But
gonna say,
it was
are they
funny.
playing that on the crew channel?
Yeah, no. That movie's like 20 years old. And one of the hilarious things in the movie, like I don't remember if you remember the movie, is that they in the movie, her and the best friend agree that if they're not married, then they'll marry each other. But by age 28, that was their like, if we're not married by 28, we would rather marry each other than be alone. And I'm like, how funny what 20 years does. Now people at 28, they're like, we're just starting on life. Ah. So I thought it was
Exactly.
pretty cool. I know. So,
Well,
all right, you
40s are
guys.
the new
Well,
20s.
yeah, 40s are the new 20s. And maybe I'm biased because I'm over 40 now. I don't know. Maybe it's like the dancers are getting younger. I'm not getting older. You guys all know this, right,
Uh,
Darren? I'm sure when you're on board a ship, you're like, they look so young. I'm like, nah,
No,
actually,
they are
it's we're
babies
old.
actually. They are babies
I
now.
know, but you remember when they were your peers.
That's exactly. I feel so old now these days.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Well, you guys, I'm really excited to do these next couple weeks together. And then, of course, it's an open forum. So if there's any things you guys want to hear about as we start planning March, please reach out and let us know. But we're excited about what this month is going to bring, and we hope there's going to be really good learning. We are fully dedicated. One of our brand pillars is the education and development of former crew and existing crew. It doesn't have to be former. So we want to make sure that somebody's feeding into you guys, and we feel privileged to have that role. So let's keep doing this, and please reach out to us if you need anything at all. Have an amazing, amazing day. It's 5:45 a.m. here on board the beautiful Serenade of the Seas. So I might go back to bed. I don't know, with my red lipstick on.
I think you
But
deserve a nap today, somewhere along the road today.
I don't know, seriously. But
Get
thank you
some
guys for
rest.
everything. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for everything, and let us know what you think of the book. Okay? Talk to you in 2 weeks. Bye.